The best advice I ever got when playing chess? Let the Wookiee win.
For sure, if we fade, then it's a lie. But you know we are the sun, and we'll walk
This is Lost Bones for episode 3 entitled What Kate Does. This week we'll debate what's inside of Sayid. Figure out my love-hate relationship with Sawyer and Kate. I love Sawyer, I hate Kate. And look a little closer at that sonogram. Episode 3 gave us several bits of information and moments that made me jump. Thankfully, none of them involved Kate. Gosh, I hate her so much. A lot of people didn't really like this episode, citing the fact that nothing really amazing happened. In fact, Damon Lindelof posted something on his Twitter account implying that he was upset with the fans for calling it a filler episode. While watching, even I was of the opinion that it was a filler episode. But then I realized, just like Season 2, I can't expect every episode to be like The Constant, and I have to take a step back and take in the show as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, we've sat patiently through 5 seasons of Lost, and now all of a sudden, in the last season, in the 3rd hour, you want to know what the answer is? Seriously? Man, I've got a headache from being up on the soapbox. This episode led off in the Dud world with the Asian guy that we later find out is named Dogan. He apparently has an affinity for typing. Why is he typing? What is he typing? Am I more interested in the typewriter than I am Kate? Yes. My guess is that Sawyer's a little bitter that Sayid was raised from the dead and Juliet wasn't. I thought for a moment that Sawyer was going to leave the temple, get Juliet, bring her back, and try to raise her from the dead, but that would just cause a lot more heartache on my part. Back in the Boom world, and hey, Arts is walking here! They need to bring Doc Arts back again and again just for small moments like that. Back in the Dud world, and does Sayid remember anything from when he was dead? Are we to assume that, like young Ben, his memory was erased from the time he was shot to the time he was healed? Hugo has assumed leadership? Awesome. Totally called it last week. Does Kate really care about bringing Sawyer back, or is she just hoping that he's available now that Juliet's gone? I want to make a t-shirt that says, I hate Kate. Back in the Boom world, and Kate is being helped out by this guy in the mechanic shop. Who is he? Is he important? Back in the Dud world, and oh man, are Jack and Kate gonna kiss again? It's like the writers want us to hate Kate more and more. Or just me. What the heck is that Asian guy doing to Sayid? Why is he connecting those things to him? Is he testing his ability to heal? Or are they testing to see if he's been taken over by someone? See, I don't hate Sayid, and he gets sympathy from me. Back in the Boom world, and Kate is returning the stuff from Claire's bag. Hey, did you see that the stuffed well in Claire's bag was the same stuffed well that Aaron had while in Season 4 while living with Kate? Oh. This is typical Kate. She finally gets away, and now she has to go back and do the right thing. Really interested as to who these people are that were going to adopt Aaron. Back in the Dud world, and Alda? That name sounds familiar. They find a tripwire and assume that it's Rousseau's, but Aldo says that she's been dead for years. Foreshadowing? Oh, right. Aldo was the guy that was guarding room 23 when Sawyer and Kate were trying to help Alex rescue Carl from that room when he was being brainwashed by the video that said that Jacob loved you. And Aldo got knocked out because he fell for the old Wookiee prisoner gag. Classic Han. Sayid is infected? With what? They were diagnosing him? You're not a zombie, right? No, I am not a zombie. Best line of the episode. Yeah, we'll be in the food court if you need us. Second best line of the episode. You see, Jin trying to find out information about the Ajira flight and Sun, endearing. Kate, not. Back in the Boom world, and my question becomes, does Claire even know the name of the couple that was going to adopt Aaron, or does she just know their address? Cause she didn't actually ever mention their names. This woman who was going to adopt Aaron, apparently we've never met her before, but her name is Lindsay Bascom. An anagram for used by Malkin. Richard Malkin, the psychic, anyone? Back in the Dud world, and we see Sawyer plying up boards to get a box that he hid back in 1977. And dare I ask the question, what's in the box? Do you remember when I said that, what's in the box, last season when I was making a reference to the movie Seven? I love rehashing topical humor from 1995. Back in the Boom world, and oh my gosh, it's Ethan Rom. Or should I say, Ethan Goodspeed. This makes perfect sense because his father was Horace Goodspeed. What makes even more sense is that back in 1977, Pierre Chang ordered the evacuation of all women and children off the island. Thus, Ethan was saved and became a doctor in the Boom world. But just like in the Dud world. Until Charlie shot him. Claire names him Aaron regardless of whether or not they were on the island or not. That's awesome. It's funny that in the Boom world, Claire may end up raising him, whereas in the Dud world, she doesn't. Back in the Dud world, and Kate reveals that she still wants to find Claire. At least she has a focus. Why is everyone taking the blame for Juliet dying? Fine, it's my fault she died. Just please don't make me go through her death one more time. I ran out of tissues the first time. Sawyer was gonna ask Julia to marry him? Saddest thing ever. Why does Dogan have a baseball? And that's why the Red Sox will never win the World Series. Is Dogan the leader of this half of the others? And why is this translator named Lennon and looks like he just got off the Yellow Submarine? Poison. Jack was gonna swallow that? There are just too many whys in this episode. Why were they gonna try and poison Saeed? They could have easily just drowned him again. Or shot him. But, that would be the obvious thing to do. But then again, maybe it's in the rules that they can't purposefully kill him. It has to be a free will type thing. Back in the Boom world, and we find out that Kate used the name Joan Hart. I love that name. Reminds me of Clarissa Explains It All. Speaking of explaining it all, the sonogram gave us a huge piece of evidence. The date on the sonogram was October 22nd, 2004, a full month after the original crash of Oceanic Flight 815. Does this 1 month lag mean anything? Possibly. But it implies something much more important than that. This Boom world is not what would have happened if the plane never crashed. This Boom world is showing us a butterfly effect of some sort. Change one thing, change everything. Evidence for this is Jack's seat possibly changing to row 24. Hurley not being cursed by the numbers. Shannon not being on that flight. The possibility of Jin and Sun not being married. Charlie swallowing the drugs instead of flushing them down the toilet. And Locke lying about being on the walkabout. Wait. Let's assume for a moment that Locke went on the walkabout in his wheelchair. If he went at the end of September like he originally did, then it would make perfect sense if he was now finally coming home a month later. We assumed that Locke lied about going on the walkabout because we found out that he was still paralyzed. But if you remember in season 1, he fully expected to be able to go on this walkabout before being denied at the last minute. Also, having the date on the sonogram be October 22nd makes much more sense in regards to when Aaron is supposed to be born. On the day of the original crash, September 22nd, 2004, Claire said that she was 8 months pregnant. And if you remember correctly, it took another month or so, November 1st, 2004, for Aaron to be born on the island. Now, if you go back to my theory from last week, the episode entitled LAX, translating to possibly be LA10, 10 days in Los Angeles, if you move forward 10 days from October 22nd, you get November 1st, the day that Aaron was supposed to be born. Not a coincidence. Back in the Dud world, we find out that Saeed's been claimed. By who? By Flock? There's a growing darkness in him that will eventually reach his heart. As viewers, we're supposed to assume that this is the Black Smoke, Man in Black Flock character. Because it happened to your sister? Claire. Bear trap. And finally, the first time since season 4, Island Claire. Is she the new Rousseau? First thoughts. Last season, I had a theory that Claire had died on the attack on New Otherton. Remember, Miles was acting very strange around her and asking her a bunch of questions, and obviously Miles can talk to dead people. Then, for no reason, she abandons her baby and walks off with Island Christian Shepherd. Let's assume that when Claire woke up in the blown-up Dharma house, at that moment, she was claimed by the Man in Black Flock. This could be the moment that Dogan was referring to before it eventually enveloped her and took over her heart. And in those 3 years, Claire has evolved into the Rousseau archetype surviving on the island with bear traps. How this whole thing is going to work out, I have no idea. Now, as for the idea of claiming people, let's go back to the season 6 promo about gods playing chess, the one that was narrated by Terry O'Quinn. In this promo, it talks about gods claiming pieces and then eventually putting them away piece by piece. What happens to you exactly when you're claimed? No one really knows. But we might find out a little more when we talk to Island Claire. At the end of season 5, we might have seen Jacob claiming Jack, Sun, Jin, Kate, Hurley, Sawyer, Saeed, Locke, all by touching them. So now all these people are his players? If this is true, we have to ask the question, once you claim a piece, can it be claimed by the opposing side? Is it in the rules? I mean, in chess, they do call it claiming pieces, but I don't know. Next week, episode 4, entitled the substitute. In mathematics, we know that a constant is just a number. A variable is a letter that represents a possible number. And a substitute is when you define that letter to be a specific number. Whatever that means for the lost realm, you tell me. Leave a comment below. An answer for all these negative cake comments I've been saying. And on that day, I'll have to run. Don't judge my ineffective humor!